1 2 mic check.
Hello. Mic check 1 2.
Say what?
I just said mic check 1 2.
Oh yeah. It's good to see folks. How you doing today, Milian? Did I pronounce it right?
Yes, you did. I'm blessed. I can't complain too much.
Okay.
How about yourself? How are you doing? Ajman, right? Ajman?
Okay. Who else we got in the mix? We got Joyous, Shayara. What's up?
How y'all doing?
I'm doing well. Let's let a couple more people roll in here, and then we'll get started. Let's see. I'm also trying to log in on my computer. Experience. But it's giving me some technical difficulties today. Okay. This is not allowing me to, so I'll be on the phone today. Happy Monday, y'all. I hope everything's going well for everybody. Today is February 7th. And today we'll be going over.
Recording in progress.
Oh, there we go. All right, sorry about that, y'all. We in the mix now. So, yes, today is February 7th, and today we'll be going over what is a co-op. And we'll open up with Peace, Nathaniel. Thanks for joining us. Peace, Joyous. Who else we got in here? Okay. More people coming in. Today, I wanted to pick up from pages 6 on Jackson Rising. Today, we'll be reading from pages 1 through 5 on collective courage. And who hasn't received the co-op reading list on Google? Is there anybody that does not have that link? If I'll put that link in the chat, because I know that some people said that they didn't get it. And I want to make sure that everyone who maybe doesn't check Instagram as frequently can have access to the reading. It's already like plotted out on the link. So I definitely wanted to share that with you guys so y'all could stay up on it. Peace, Natalie. How you doing today?
I am well, thank you. How about yourself? How's everybody doing?
I'm good. We're just getting settled in, you know. I hope everyone had a good weekend. All right, cool. So now it's in the chat. So if you ever want to make sure that you're up on the reading, it's all plotted out there. I know Instagram is not everyone's like regular place to visit. I try to stay off it as much as possible unless I'm doing business, because it's easy to get sucked into. You know, it's just one of those things. They got it down to a science. So again, the reading is from pages 1 through 5 on collective courage. But before we get to that, I'm just going to read a quick passage from Jackson Rising. Democratically transforming the economy. In order to democratically transform the capitalist world economy, we have to transform the agent central to this process, the working class, into a democratic subject. This transformation starts with the self-organization of the working class itself. Although not foreign to the working class historically by any means, particularly the black working class in the United States, which is often left solely to its own ends for self-defense and survival. Worker self-organization is not a common feature of the class at present. This is a dynamic that we must change in Jackson and beyond. So to me, they're setting the intention that we are going to change our economy, but in order to do that, we have to change how much we self-organize. Self-organization is key to our survival, and it's something that's not foreign to us, although it's something that we may not practice as often as ideal, but it's in our DNA. That's how I read it. So continuing, now to be clear on terms, self-organization means first and foremost workers directly organizing themselves through various participatory means, unions, assemblies, etc., primarily at the places of work or points of production, but also where they live, play, pray, and study. The point of this self-organization is for workers to make collective democratic decisions about how, when, and to what ends their labor serves, and about how to take action collectively to determine the course of their own lives and the animus of their own actions. So that goes back to the people's assemblies we was talking about. This is a form of a people's assembly in a sense. I mean, it's just a book club, but we are doing the primary part of creating common understanding by going over these works and interpreting it for ourselves and talking about it in an open fashion. That allows for communication, and then the other phases can continue, right? Then we can continue to create um, susus, which are, you know, folks coming together, putting money aside, and, you know, it's circulating through the economy, because we understand like buyers clubs and things like that. Like the vocabulary becomes a little more nuanced and specific, and it's not just, hey, let's work together. No, in these particular ways we're working together, and we can speak on it and share the ideas easily, and it's accessible. So it's not just esoteric and in the air. We will not and cannot accomplish any of the core ends described above without stimulating the self-organization of the black working class in Jackson on a mass scale. While Cooperation Jackson, the Malcolm X grassroots movement, and the broad forces aligned with the Jackson Kush Plan have made some significant social and political advances and demonstrated our capacity, more work, stimulated the self-organization of the black working class on a mass scale. More work, profoundly more, must be done to accomplish the main task in this regard, which are to elevate and strengthen the class consciousness of the community. So I'm gonna end right there. Before we pick up, any thoughts on that? You know, anything come up for you guys when you heard those words of how Jackson Rising, Cooperation Jackson intended to change their community?
Yeah, I think for me, I think particularly when I'm thinking about allyship and what that really means, around what you're saying, that it's the awareness and the consciousness of the oppressor, the working class, that has to be raised, and it's nothing that the oppressor can teach, because inevitably it will already have its own oppressive dynamics still ingrained in how it teaches. So once the consciousness of the masses is liberated, they can themselves formulate their own relationship with other groups. And so allyship is really experiencing that reality from the ground, as opposed to coming with something to teach you to share.
Ooh, that was profound, Natalie. Thank you. Yes. Um, I like how you said that the oppressor does not, and I'm paraphrasing, does not have the solution that we're looking for. You know, we have to come up with that solution ourselves, um, and then present that to the establishment in a way. And I'm adding this in a, you roll with it or not, you know, or we roll over you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the kind of intensity we kind of have to have. But first, we have to have the clarity. we don't have the clarity, then it's just misplaced aggression and destruction, and we've seen where that can go. I think that there's a emotion that's within us all when we see injustice, that we react in various ways, and we can get really primal. And to be able to sustain something over a long period of time is not primal. It's actually something a little more civilized, for lack of a better term. You know what I mean? It's something that requires some forethought and communication and trial and error and reflection, like all of these different things it requires. So um, it's easier to go to the destructive way, but to build something. Somebody said in a meeting I just got out of, like, we talk a lot about what we don't want, but do we talk enough about what we do want, right? So brother Tut, King Tut has joined us. I just saw him. I guess I don't know what happened. Maybe he's still joining. But okay, shout out to that brother. So page 1 of Collective Courage. I'm gonna start with this Du Bois quote. The 2 Du Bois quotes at the bottom of the first half of the page. We can, by consumers and producers' cooperation, establish a progressively self-supporting economy that will weld the majority of our people into an impregnable economic phalanx. um, that was a very specific word choice. Um, and I think the impregnable part, reminds me of a fortress, something vast and hard to break into. Oh, you under the Repair Nations page. Okay, what's up with it? Um, and then the phalanx, I gotta look that up. I thought I knew what phalanx was, but let me just make sure I'm not blowing hot smoke. Phalanx, a body of troops or police officers standing or moving in close formation. Wow. So not only does he paint the impregnable side of like something hard to get into, break into, a fortress, right? Impregnable, um, a phalanx. So we moving. He talking militant, lightweight. Like, this is Dubois. This is a very sophisticated brother using very militant for economic cooperation. I think that's very profound. Um, and again, it comes back to, these are our needs. This is our clarity on what we need and how we moving. And you either roll with it or get rolled over. Like, that's the mentality that I feel like he's referring to. And then we have a chance here to teach industrial and cultural democracy to a world that bitterly needs it. Industrial and cultural democracy. Um, Industrial democracy. I think that's interesting, um, because I think we've seen the opposite, right? With all of these advancements, in a lot of ways, they've been centralized. Oil, super centralized. Um, Energy, PG&E is a monopoly in California, right? So it's like these different things that we need to survive are very centralized when you talk about industrial. So I don't know food, yes. Um, Information, conglomerates run information, which is a source of energy in a lot of ways, right? To stay informed is to stay charged up in a lot of ways, I would say. So come on now, these different areas, how do we see that changing? Like industrial democracy, like, that's almost kind of foreign, because I don't know how to project myself into that. I think it's very hard to see something like that changing, but I do think there's a possibility of that changing. But it will mean a restructuring, right? Like, what do you guys think about that term, industrial democracy and cultural democracy? What does that bring up for you guys?
For me, it's
For me,
Okay, we got Shy Hour, and who was that? Cal? Okay, Shira, go ahead, and then Cal, you up next.
For me, it's like the togetherness as like because a lot of times it's like democracy is um like the voting everybody together. Um, so what you said, industrial democracy. So the growth of a economy or something like that, um but together instead of individual or instead of like capitalistic.
Hmm. I like the term humanism over capitalism, right? That's what comes to mind. Um, and then Cal, how do you feel about that phrasing?
I also feel a little bit similar too as well. That not so much of well, basically is decentralizing the resources, but running as a unit, saying, okay, we're going to do these resources, and these are the type of people that can and cannot benefit from it. We're going to take a vote on it, and this is how the community in this area responds to it, and it's also going to be beneficial for the rest of the community. Resources, health, any of those areas, but it's seeing who are the direct beneficiaries and who are not, and voting on it. So cohesiveness as far as gaining resources.
Mm. I like that you use the term decentralized. I like cohesion. Those are two distinct words that have their own, bring up a certain awareness of their own, right? To be decentralized, that makes me think of responsibility of the individual to participate, rather than someone saying you have to do this, or we're going to do this for you for a fee or tax. And then you said cohesion, like that means that there's a certain consciousness that's has a mass that stretches beyond a group, maybe even incorporating different groups, right? To be cohesive is to be like, in rhythm with each other. So I couldn't hear everything you were saying, brother, but I did pick out those two things. So thank you for that. Um, decentralized is a word I keep hearing a lot of. It's kind of a lot of pressure though too, right? Like the whole crypto movement is about, well, not the whole thing, but a part of it is about decentralizing money. So if you don't trust your bank to have your money, do you trust yourself to have your money? And a lot of people will say, yeah, I trust it. You know what I'm saying? That they'll put the money in their mattress, but at the end of the day, if you're dealing with a lot of money, you're not going to put $1 million in under the mattress. A lot of us aren't dealing with $1 million, but the concept is the more you have, the more you have to be aware of how you moving with your money, right? And so that puts a responsibility in your hand in a decentralized way. You have to know your 12-word passcode to your crypto wallet. And if you lose that, then you lose your funds. Rather, a bank, if you come in with your ID, right, then it's like, oh, then okay, forgot your password. We know it's you. So there's like a trade-off there where the more advanced might go to decentralized because they have more power, but I don't want to say, let's say layman's person wouldn't go that way. They'll just be like, here, take my money and just keep it safe. I got 250,000 insured FDIC, right? There's no FDIC in crypto yet. Now, if there is, that'll be crazy. Like a certain back, but then that's depending on a centralized agency, FDIC. So is that decentralized? It comes up. All right, so let's keep it moving. Wait, does anybody else want to take a read for a few paragraphs? I do a lot of reading, but I definitely want to open it up if people have the book
Yeah,
in front
I
of
want to
them.
read. It's
All
Z.
right, Z. That's what I
Hey,
like to hear, that passion. All right, go
hey,
ahead and pick
you
it
gotta
up.
take leadership, man.
Yeah.
All right, what page we on, brother?
We on page 1, right under the Boyce quote.
I
It
already
starts with
know.
African Americans have a long, And you got the book. You got a book. Hey, that's what's up.
Hey. Wait,
Af- African Americans have a
hold on,
long, rich history.
hold on. What, my bad. What page? I just want to make sure.
Page 1. So
Yeah.
it's not literal page 1 because the first
I'm
page
on
is
top
like
of it.
some other stuff. But if you go past like the first preliminary pages, the actual first page says introduction, a continuous and hidden history, and then you go down to the bottom where it says African Americans have a long, rich history. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, nah.
Like from the cover, it's probably like 4, 5 pages in.
Okay, hold on. What page exact? Like what number? My bad.
It said it's page 1, but it actually doesn't say it on the book. Like sometimes they'll put the page on the next page. So like page 2, they'll put that one, but they don't put page 1. It's weird, but yeah, it's if you find page 2, just it's on the back of that. You're on mute.
Is it part 1 or part 2?
It says introduction, a continuous and hidden history, and then it has a few quotes. And then do you see where it says? Do you see what I'm talking about so far?
Nah, I don't. I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
Introduction.
I'm gonna keep going and let me know when you find where I'm at. Okay.
Oh, okay. African Americans use existing connections. That one. That
No,
part.
no, not that part.
All right.
But it's all good. I'm gonna keep going and then just when you find it, let me know.
Okay.
African Americans have a long, rich history of cooperative ownership, especially in reaction to market failures and economic racial discrimination. However, it has often been a hidden history and one obstructed by white supremacist violence. When there is a narrative, the history is told as one of failure. The challenges have been tremendous and have often been seen as insurmountable. The successes are often anecdotal and isolated, little understood, and even less documented, particularly as part of an economic development strategy and a larger economic independence movement. So basically, the author is saying all of this knowledge has been there, but it's been kicked to the side, swept under a rug, and barely talked about. And we know why, because information empowers. So the more we know that we've been working together, then we wouldn't have let these elements of disorganization prosper. These times where we haven't worked together wouldn't have lasted as long if people knew, in my opinion. And let me see. Considering the broad aspects of co-op, we're on page 2 of the first paragraph that starts. Considering the broad aspects of cooperative economic development in African American communities over the past 2 centuries, my research shows that cooperative economic thought was integral to many major African American leaders and thinkers throughout history. Right? So we stand on the shoulders of giants, is what she's saying. Like, it's been a momentum. These include known figures such as W.E.B. Du Bois, A. Philip Randolph, Marcus Garvey, E. Franklin Frazier, Nanny Helen Burroughs, George Schuler, Ella Jo Baker. The list goes on. I'm going to skip down. This is an important part. At the bottom where it says, what is a cooperative? Cooperatives are companies owned by the people who use their services. These member owners form the company for a particular purpose, to satisfy an economic or social need, to provide a quality good or service, one that the market is not adequately providing at an affordable price, or to create an economic structure to engage in needed production or facilitate more equal distribution to compensate for a market failure. That was a lot, but I want to kind of stop right there, because what is a cooperative? So first they said it's a member-owned form of a company, right? So that means everybody that's a part of the collective, a cooperative, owns the company. Instead of that's different than the traditional, which is there's a board that owns a company or a group of people or one person that owns the company, and then everybody else works for that company, right? It's a little bit different. And then we have they come together for a particular purpose to satisfy an economic or social need, right? So a buying club facilitates a economic need. We all need to buy this product at a particular price so we can save money. And if we buy it in bulk, we're winning. Okay. Some come together for a social need. The Black Panthers came together socially because economically, yes, they understood that it was a problem, but socially they also recognized oppression was a problem. So they came together in opposition to that in different ways. And they had to address the economic as well because they had to sell newspapers, right? That was a part of their business model. Now they weren't a business necessarily, right? I feel like now the name is a nonprofit, so they've evolved. But generally, it was I don't think they would consider themselves a company, but they had to address the financial need in certain ways, and so that was one of the ways that they funded their work. They had to sell newspapers, but the objective was social change, right? So I think that's a strong distinction. Um, or facilitate more equal distribution to compensate for market failure. So a cooperative can be, but I think they're hinting that usually is started from something not being fulfilled, a group of people not feeling satisfied in the way that they want to, not being having their needs met, right? Basically, so the economic portion of the country was being very discriminatory to black people. So we had to work together. It wasn't even a choice, really. Like they formed coalitions and colluded against us in many ways and outright killed us for working together. So there was energy to keep us from working together, but that same energy fueled us working together. But it's because it's like, what do you expect us to do? You're gonna kill us for existing, so we might as well just keep doing what we're doing. And of course, fear worked for some people, but it did not, as a whole, stop us. Um, Anybody have anything to say about that one portion of what a cooperative is? Any questions that come up or any insights?
Repeat that. I want to be engaged.
Yeah, I just read what Jessica Gordon Nimhart described what a cooperative was, and I wanted to know what your thoughts
So,
and
and
insights are.
my thought is a cooperative is something that's put together that's well, something that's ran, organized, something that's yeah, well organized, like some positives, keep to moving, get to moving for the youth, for the kids, for adults, people that's struggling mentally health, or just in the community, in the area.
Thank you for that, Z.
Yeah, for sure.
Anybody?
Oh, also it's cooperative is togetherness, you know.
I agree. Anybody else have any insights? How did that breakdown make you feel? Do you feel like it was complete? Did it miss anything?
I think based off of how the lady described it, I didn't catch her name.
Z.
But it was more
Z.
of Z.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, Z. The lady that we were quoting from.
Oh,
The author Jessica Gordon Nimhart.
Okay, Miss Nimhart. So I think it was more of I think she say in the mines traditionally it was more of like how you say a board, or I'm coming to this board as my business and these are the people that own it, versus coming as an individual and this is what I do. I do this business, and oh yeah, by the way, can probably help out in this particular area or whatever. So I think she was talking about coming together as more of an individual that is a progressive individual or a business individual, and having resources that you can contribute in order to make it a functional cooperative, and isolating the immediate areas of need, either socially, economically, and addressing those issues.
Yeah, I feel like you paraphrased it perfectly in your own words, how she put it. So I think it pretty plainly expresses what we're aiming for when we're talking about cooperatives, and I think it's something to refer back to as we learn more about the different examples through this book. Um, so yeah, we had time, y'all. Any last words? I definitely don't want to let anybody leave pent up with anything they want to say. But if not, I
I
pre-
got I got my PDF copy, so I should be up to par with tomorrow.
okay, all right. I appreciate you, man. And so we have the link in the chat. It's in the chat if you want to read ahead. All of the reading is listed for the week. Also, we have spaces where we don't have co-hosts specified. So if you would like to fill in for those days, feel welcome to. Just let me know what days you're looking at. And yes, grab the book if you haven't. I appreciate those who have. So we'll be back tomorrow, same black time, same black channel. Much love to y'all.
All right, peace, y'all.
All right.